Hey guys, so I am back with my next video, and for those of you who watched the last video, I just gave a little bit of background about myself and kind of what brought me into the horror space, or at least why horror has been a big part of my life ever since I was little. And in this video, I'm going to talk more specifically about how I got involved in making horror films the last few years and what that journey has looked like. So, towards the tail end of the last video, I mentioned that around 40, I had started to kind of take control of my life after a series of unfortunate incidents that happened throughout my 30s, and really kind of adopted a new mindset of just taking advantage of opportunities as they arose, just kind of saying yes to things, meeting new people, taking chances. And one of the big things that kind of started all of that off was when I was at a horror convention in Nashville at the Full Moon Horror Fest and Tattoo Expo. And while I was there with my family, I had met a group of guys who were raising funds to make a movie called Deathwoods. And at first I thought, well, no, I've got other things to do with my money that maybe more important or more secure, and I'm just going to enjoy the festival and meet artists and celebrities and do the usual thing. But then by the end of the weekend, it just was circling around in the back of my mind, and I just couldn't let go of the idea of this film that they were working on and wanting to be a part of it. And so the last day, about an hour before we were supposed to leave to go to the airport, I approached these guys and just wanted to have a conversation and say, hey, if I wanted to be part of this movie, not just a small part, but a significant part, what would that look like? I want to put some money towards what you guys are doing, but I want to be a real part of what's happening. And we chatted for a while and just had a really good rapport and worked out a deal where I was going to put some money towards the movie and come on as an executive producer. And in doing so, would get a lot of perks, and one of which was this shirt, which I'm wearing right now, this Deathwoods shirt, which was one of their first designs. There really aren't any more of these kicking around anywhere, so it's kind of fun to have a little bit of kind of rare Deathwoods merch. And that was just the start of it. I a few months later went to the set outside of Nashville where they were filming the movie over several weeks. I spent a little over a week on set with the cast and crew, getting to see the whole filming process from behind the camera, watching how the FX and makeup folks were putting together the FX for the kills for the movie, and seeing how the decisions were being made behind the camera, how the sets were being constructed. We were really fortunate in making Deathwoods that for most of it we had this big property that was donated to us for the shooting that had all of the key locations we needed. We had the campsite for the campers. We had this really nasty old abandoned house that was perfect for some parts of the movie, which when you watch Deathwoods you will see, as well as a cool little lake that we used for part of it as well, all of it on one property. So it was just really neat and totally fun to be there throughout the nights that we were filming, since most of the movie takes place at night. So did our filming, which was something that hadn't really clicked in my head before I went to be on set for a week, staying up most of the nights, but I'm generally a night owl anyway, so it was fun. I bought caffeine to keep everybody going and brought snacks to keep everybody going, and just had a blast with it. And after that week, when I went back home, I stayed in touch as an executive producer with the other creators of the movie, and have been involved in the process from that point to now, which I'll get to in a little bit, and just really loved being a part of helping to bring this story to life in my own way. I had a relatively small piece of the whole with Deathwoods, but that experience, I was like, at the end of the day, at the end of my life, I'll say, hey, I was part of making a horror movie. Isn't that cool? But I found as the months went by after my experience on set that I wasn't fully satisfied with just that, and I wanted more. And so that's where Dr. Horror came from. I just was thinking about what a great time I had and how I wanted to keep being involved in making movies. And I didn't just want to have like a piece of what someone else was doing. I wanted to be involved in making my own films. And I started Dr. Horror, my own production company. And it was a little over a year or so later that in chatting with one of the guys who was involved with Deathwoods about a film project that he had an idea for a short film, that I came to executive produce fully my first Dr. Horror short film, which is Sin Eater. So the idea that Corey Simpson had for this movie was a Southern Gothic story, which immediately, as soon as he said Southern Gothic, I was like reeled right in. And it's a really unique short film. We used the same kind of FX and makeup people for that film that worked on Deathwoods, so I knew what we were getting there. And so it was actually several people from Deathwoods that were on the crew of Sin Eater, and several new folks that Corey had worked with before that I had not met before, but had a great time with on set. We filmed mostly over 3 days making Sin Eater with a few extra little pickup shots here and there. And it came together really well over the course of the last year. It's been doing the horror film festival circuit. Started out in Chattanooga where we filmed it and has been making the rounds ever since. Most recently played in St. Louis. We've gotten multiple awards at our film festival appearances, which has been awesome, for Best Short, Best Directing. One of our actresses got an award. We've gotten editing and cinematography awards. So it's been really cool to see all the different people involved get, the proper recognition for their work, because it was really a great group of people to work with. And out of all of that, while Dr. Horror was getting running, I stayed in touch with some of the other producers who were behind the scenes doing the post-production stuff for Deathwoods. One of whom, Jake Capronica, is one of the owners of Simpatico Pictures, which is a film production company based in Atlanta. And they were doing a bit of an expansion and looking for people to come on and invest some capital and become partners there. And so I also took advantage of that opportunity and became a partner in their production company as well. And so it's been really fun to maintain those relationships with Jake and Celeste and Simpatico, because they do awesome work as well and really fun videos. You can find their YouTube channel and check out some of the shorts that they've done, but they've also won awards for a lot of their film work. And so after I kind of jumped on board Simpatico and was doing the Dr. Horror thing, Jake and I got chatting one day about wouldn't it be cool to shoot a short film up in Montana, and what would be a cool idea, something local and unique, and immediately kind of brought to mind some of our local cryptid lore. I won't get into it in too much detail yet, because I want to build up to that and keep some of it secret for when the movie comes out. But we have some really unique lore here that is part of the culture in a big way, part of our winter carnivals that goes back decades. And each year here in Whitefish, Montana, they have a winter carnival with a lot of different activities that kind of honors some of that lore. And once Jake and I got talking about the idea for this movie, it just kind of spun up in my head out of just a short film and into a much bigger idea. And I said, oh, I think this is going to have to be a feature. It's too big to fit inside, a 10 or 15 minute short. And so about a year ago, I started writing my first movie. which is wild to think about, and definitely had some, imposter syndrome going here in moments where it's like, am I really capable of doing this? But I had written some short horror fiction in the past, but I had never done any like screenwriting in that format. So along the way, I've been learning about formatting for screenwriting and how to translate a story into something that's going to be in a visual medium, rather than writing something that's just fiction in like a novella or a short fiction format. And so that's been a fun process. I've really enjoyed it, actually. And I've just taken my time with it over the last year to really kind of get some feedback on the script and make adjustments here and there that really, I think, will lend more solidity to the final product when it's done. Still making a few tiny tweaks to some of the dialogue here and there, but otherwise the main pieces are in place. And a lot of the bigger pieces, at least the kills, I haven't really changed all that much from when I first wrote them. That part just kind of flowed really easily for me. I wanted things that were kind of like hard impacting scenes, some of which had elements that I've never seen in a movie before. Being a fan of the slasher genre, I've seen people killed with just about every like garden or farm implement you could think of, or household, anything sharp or blunt or heavy. And so with the monster that will be in Winter and Whitefish, and the power that comes along with that monster, I wanted to really do some things similar to, but different than what I've seen in movies before. Killers like Jason, who are just big brutes and use their power to do things, have some pretty iconic kills, and so I wanted to create some of those myself. But also have some really fun characters kind of centering the movie. For me, I love all horror subgenres, but horror comedy is definitely my happy place. I love a good horror comedy, and striking the balance between the horror and having the comedic and lighter elements of the movie land well is something that's really tough to do, but when it comes off right, I think it's just one of the most entertaining. Kind of sit down and have some popcorn and laugh and cringe and just enjoy the hell out of it. But this movie isn't going to be a straight horror comedy. There will definitely be comedic moments and lines, but I think it'll be fun from start to finish. It'll have some great kills and hopefully some unique things that you haven't seen before either. And in future videos, I'll get into what the process of making an independent movie from the ground up has been like. There's a lot of, if you want to do it the right and proper and legal way, paperwork with the government and legal contracts and all these things that really need to be done in a very specific way. And I can get into the nitty-gritty of that in a future video. But for this video, I just wanted to talk about how I got started in horror films, and how that all led up to Winter and Whitefish, and also where the other films are, because it's actually a really exciting time right now, because Deathwoods has its upcoming official premiere at the Terra Theater in Atlanta on August 7th at 7 p.m. So if you can make it, hopefully I'll see you there. I think it's going to be a really fun time. And if you can't make it, then soon it will be coming to Screambox for streaming. So hopefully everybody who wants to will be able to see it, which is really exciting as well. Similarly, Sin Eater is coming to the end of its run in the film festival circuit. I think we've got one more appearance, and then we are also in talks with a streaming service to hopefully make it available shortly thereafter for everyone to see. So really exciting things coming up. Hope you guys stay tuned for the next video when I'll start diving into maybe not the most exciting pieces of creating an independent film, but the really important kind of groundwork that needs to be laid to raise funding from investors properly and make sure all the tax stuff is in place, and things that I'm learning and pushing along with. And then after that, we'll get into the more exciting stuff, which is happening right now, which is kicking off all of the pre-production work. So stay tuned.